Juneteenth has been trademarked and is owned by Balchem Corporation. Here are the corporation's board members.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you for joining me with Conversations with Taz. And as promised last night, we're going to get into the rest of the stories that we weren't able to cover last night and a few other updates mixed up in there. Also wanted to let you know, if you have not checked out the written blog that I have, Camp Taz, this is where you can find it. I had already put up, because I had promised I was just going to do 2 entries per week, but there are some extra ones, some bonus ones, because of all the shenanigans that have taken place in the course of the week. Actually, in the course of the past 15 days, almost. And also, friendly reminder, if you want to contribute to Young Merc's GoFundMe, it is in the link tree in my bio. It is the first thing right up at the top. If you are unable to contribute, please make sure you go to any of his social media profiles and click any of the streaming services that have his music, and make sure you stream it. That can help as well. Excuse me. Hey, lovely. Now, we are going to start, as you all see, Juneteenth. If you're not certain of what the Juneteenth holiday is, you can join me Saturday, or you can Google it. Google is free. But there is an update on yet another school shooting, the Ethan Crumley case. Y'all take a look at this.
For this kid, the 15-year-old who, his school in Oxford, well, his journal just came out, and in it he wrote how he hoped his actions would cause sleepy effing Joe Biden to be impeached. It was also riddled with racial slurs. Just like this guy. Everything he wrote online sounded like it came right from the Tucker Carlson show. And there were racial slurs written all over his boomstick. It even said, "Here are your reparations, N-word." You know, the right wing wants to chalk this all up into isolated incidents of mental illness. But give me a break. When the words of these angry young men sound virtually identical to the rhetoric spewing out of the mouths of the leaders of the conservative movement, what does that say about the conservative movement?
He's not lying, not in the least. These are not isolated incidents. They are not. This is the fruit of the forbidden tree. This is indoctrination in action. There are some updates from the Texas primary school shooting coming from the Associated Press. Police, Texas gunman was inside the school for over an hour. It was 11:28 a.m. when the Ford pickup slammed into a ditch behind the low-slung Texas school, and the driver jumped out carrying an AR-15 style rifle. 12 minutes after that, authorities saw 18-year-old Salvador Ramos was in the hallways of Robb Elementary School. Soon he entered a 4th grade classroom, and there he killed 19 school children and 2 teachers in a still unexplained spasm of violence. Here's a caveat I do want to add, because I found out just before going on air, these children were not all in the same classroom. They were in 2 different classrooms. So he did not barricade himself in one classroom. That is a falsehood. That is a falsehood. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It is not a mental health issue. I suffer from, at times, crippling anxiety and very deep and dark depression, and never do I sit down and create a plan to inflict harm on people. No. Let's see. At 12:58 p.m., law enforcement radio chatter said Ramos had been killed and the siege was over. Wait a minute. Did I read that right? $11:28 to 12:50. Yeah, I read that right. What happened in those 90 minutes in a working class neighborhood near the edge of the little town of Uvalde has fueled mounting public anger and scrutiny over law enforcement's response to Tuesday's rampage. Yeah, nobody has a mental breakdown and thinks to hurt people. Okay. That article from the Associated Press was great for a little bit of information. As always, I have 3 videos I'm gonna show you. Trigger warning, this is just gonna piss you the fuck off. Yeah.
From the initial information coming out of the tragedy at Robb Elementary in Texas, there were some things that didn't seem to quite make sense, and now as more information comes out, they are making sense, and it's not good. So bear with me while I break down the series of events. Salvador shoots his grandmother, trying to kill her, then flees in a truck, then crashes in a ditch by the school, presumably being chased by police because he immediately engages in a firefight with police officers where he strikes and injures at least a couple police officers. He then enters the elementary school, and police post up outside. They do not pursue him into the school. Witnesses from inside the school say he immediately starts taking out anyone he sees, student, adult. He's trying to pick off anyone. Then he enters a classroom and barricades himself in. This is where it gets bad. Word gets out, and parents start coming to the school, and they're now stating that when they got there, they find police waiting outside, and they can hear gunfire inside the school. And they start demanding that police go in, and they don't. And they say this is video of that. It gets so bad that some parents start trying to organize to rush into the school themselves, and police won't let them. They say police wait around for 40 minutes and then finally decide to go in, and then take another 30 minutes trying to figure out what keys will open doors for them. The 911 call about him entering the school was at like 11:36, and they didn't engage with the shooter and kill him in the school until after 1 p.m. Good guy with a gun? You had trained law enforcement, who it's literally their job, who were there when he entered the school, and they waited outside while a madman murdered children.
It gets even worse. So the parents are standing outside. The police officers refuse to rush in. They're getting their kids out. You got a whole bunch of good guys with guns who are not stopping the bad guy with the gun. A police officer decides to holler out and ask the children if anybody needs help. And I don't know if you've ever been in an active shooter situation, but you don't do that. You don't ask the kids or anybody to do anything that is identifiable to you so that the shooter can find you. Because if you do that, the shooter will come and find you and kill you. And that's what happened. The cop said, "Do you need help? Yell if you need help." And then that's when the shooter came and killed the kid. This is just this is really bad. Those poor fucking kids, man. 40% of a town's budget and they don't know not to do.
So wait, let me get this straight. Cops were so in over their heads that they decided to start apprehending parents who were so desperately trying to get to their kids who were currently being gunned down by a weapon that creates a wound the size of a fucking orange. They decided to apprehend them while they waited for backup. Like, this is your fucking solution? I get it's a small town, and it was an extremely stressful situation. But again, why is that your fucking solution? Jesus Christ.
I also want to add that you may have heard over the news, now the GOP, the grand old party, is talking about hardening schools. Well, according to Governor Abbott, they started hardening schools after a 2016 school shooting in Santa Fe. That school had its own police department. There was a tactical SWAT team that was there. I watched an interview with a 20-year member of a tactical SWAT team. I have personally worked on committees with SWAT team members. They're trained to go in, even if it's just one of them. They are not trained to sit back and wait for someone else to come and save their ass. And the fact that police officers went in to go get their own children, when people go, you know what, Taz? How come you don't work for a broadcasting company? Why'd you stop writing for news networks? Why'd you stop writing news for different fringe organizations? Because I realized a long time ago, when I switched my major from pre-law to business and marketing, I cannot always be impartial. I cannot. I'm not going to lie to myself, and I'm not going to lie to y'all. But wait, it gets more infuriating. From Variety.com, Ted Cruz storms off after interviewer asks, why do shootings only happen in America? I could read you the article, but I'll do you one better.
There are 19 sets of parents who are never going to get to kiss their child goodnight again.
Is this the moment to reform gun laws?
You know, it's easy to go to politics.
But it's important. It's at the heart of the issue.
I get that that's where the media likes to go.
No, it's not. It's where many of the people we've talked to here like to go.
The proposals from Democrats in the media, inevitably, when some violent psychopath murders people.
A violent psychopath who's able to get a weapon so easily. 18-year-old with 2 AR-15s.
If you want to stop violent crime, the proposals the Democrats have, none of them would have stopped this.
But why does this only happen in your country? I really think that's what many people around the world just, they cannot fathom. Why only in America? Why is this American exceptionalism so awful?
You know, I'm sorry you think American exceptionalism is awful.
I think this aspect of it.
You got your political agenda.
No, it's honestly,
God love you.
Senator, it's not. I just want to understand why you do not think that guns are the problem.
Why is this just an American problem?
It is just an American problem, sir.
Mr. Cruz, why is America the only country that faces this kind of mass shooting?
But you can't answer that. You can't answer that, can you, sir? You can't answer that. Why is this country?
Why is it that people come from all over the world to America? Because it's the freest, most prosperous, safest country on earth.
It may be the freest, it may be the most popular.
Why are our kids dying in school?
Even in the face of tragedy, they cannot stop with the propaganda. The United States is not the freest. The United States is not the most prosperous. The United States definitively is not the safest. Within 10 days, we had two mass shootings. How do you fix your face to say that this country is the safest? People come here to get educated, and a lot of times they go back home, or they come over here to get a job to send money back home. They're revitalizing their economies, which is brilliant. And this is why the United States makes you pay to relinquish your citizenship. They know they ain't shit. The United States knows it ain't shit. Why do you think the United States loves to call itself by an entire continent? Actually, they don't even put North America on here. They don't say, oh, I'm North American. No, they just say American, as if Mexico and Canada are not on the same continent, as if South America does not exist. This is why you hear me exclusively say the United States. You don't hear me say American this, American that. No. Because it's not the whole continent or 2 continents that's jacked up from the flow up. Ugh. And by the way, Trump, Abbott, Cruz, and Gosar are still going to be speakers at the NRA, National Rifle Association conference, beginning tomorrow in Texas. If Tone Deaf was a political party. And as they were telling Beto O'Rourke yesterday, don't make this political. If you stayed around to watch the rest of the press conference, they made it political. Governor Abbott was talking about how he hardened the schools, how he put so much money into this, that, and the other. But then on the same, when they flipped the token, and said, "Oh, this is an individual with mental health issues." Governor Abbott, explain why you cut millions from the mental health budget from Texas. You know what? As much as Texas keeps wanting to be its own country, let's take out the good people and just let it be its own country. Just let it be its own country. And I know I played this video last night, but the video did not have subtitles, and I don't think you really got to grasp what Beto O'Rourke was really saying and what he was doing and how well he was advocating for people, not just people in Texas, but people, period. I found one with subtitles. Let's get it.
Let's take a look at one of the wildest press conferences I've ever seen. The press conference has just started. Governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, is speaking, and he's just finished doing the whole thoughts and prayers thing that we do every time. And then he says this.
And let me emphasize something that I know you all know. But the reality is, as horrible as what happened, it could have been worse.
The third worst school shooting in American history, but it could have been. And then he's getting ready to pass the mic off to the guy to his right, and this happens.
This time I will pass the mic to Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick.
Governor Abbott, I have to say something.
Excuse me.
Excuse me.
Excuse me.
It was after Santa Fe High School.
Sit down. Don't pull this stunt.
It was after El Paso.
Sit down and don't play this stuff.
The next shooting is right now, and you are doing nothing.
No,
you're operating
you
as
need to get his ass out of here.
You
This
said
isn't
this
a
is
place
not
to talk this
predictable.
over.
This is totally predictable when you
Sir, you're out of
not to do
line.
anything.
Sir, you are out of line.
I'm
Sir, you are out of line. Please
to
leave
stop
this
this from
auditorium.
happening
So you
again.
can exit. I can't believe you're a sick son of a bitch who come to a deal like this to make a political issue.
This is not the place to do that.
The GOP makes everything, literally everything, political. Okay, I could probably pass one of them on the street. Actually, I have. There are certain Republicans in my Commonwealth that avoid me like the plague, but I digress. They shouldn't live so close to certain relatives of mine. I'm just saying. But they will make that political. But what's even more egregious, white folks that decide to knight themselves as allies, stop relying on those affected by trauma and terror the most to entertain and educate you through this time. Not sure what I'm talking about? Let me run this clip for you.
Done a white folk PSA in a minute, so let's get to it. This specifically is for my white folks who watch Abbott Elementary. This is the Abbott Elementary I'm talking about. I love this show. But anyway, if you're a white person who watched that show, stop getting on the internet and ask Quinta to make an episode about active shooters. Here, what are you talking about? Let me show you what I'm talking about. Quinta posted this today on Twitter. Why? Why does she have to tell y'all this? And this is just some of what she said in her mentions or whatever it is that she be looking at. This type of foolery. This is the Abbott Elementary I'm talking about. I love this show. But anyway, if you're a white person who watched that show, stop getting on the internet and ask Quinta to make an episode about active shooters. Here, what are you talking about? Let me show you what I'm talking about.
I ran it back so I could pause it to give you all an opportunity to read this. Let's go on to the next part.
Quinta posted this today on Twitter. Why? Why does she have to tell y'all this? And this is
Here's the thing. Maybe Abbott can have a hand in creating a conversation about keeping our kids safe. The damn tragedy should make you have a conversation about this. Then the person, Merlin, doubles down. The safety of our students falls on all of our shoulders. No, at this point, it sits on the shoulders of GOP members that even today could not pass a domestic terrorism bill that would give proper regulations regarding firearms. But let an act of violence happen at the hands of a black or brown person, they're ready to shut down the border. We have the Patriot Act. We have so many things so quickly. But when it's at the hands of gun violence or white supremacy, it is mental illness. It is a single person. Everyone else on the planet is a monolith except for white people with a damn gun that are conservative. And even when they are conservative, like the motherfucker who shot up Tops grocery store, they will excuse the blame and accountability away from them. But let's continue.
Just some of what she said in her mentions or whatever it is that she be looking at. This type of foolery right here. Black folks see trauma all the time, and we deal with it in different ways. Quinta through Abbott Elementary has created a place where we can escape some of that and just see the cutesy little stuff that happens in the school. And beyond that, why would you want to traumatize the kids like that? What is wrong with y'all? So no, you need to be talking to your elected officials and not some girl who write on a TV show.
That part right there. Stop asking people who look like me to enact change while you actively vote against all of our best interest. While you actively sit comfortably in the lap and luxury of privilege and white supremacy until it's your family member that's affected. Stop asking us to break everything down and make it comfortable for you. Because what you feel in a few days of these shootings is what we feel every day. You aren't terrified to leave your house. You aren't terrified for your kids to just go outside and play. You don't walk into a store afraid to put your hands in your pocket or down in your purse to get anything out unless you're right in front of the cashier so they can see you didn't steal nothing. You aren't afraid to go to a CCW class. You aren't afraid to defend yourself and speak up and stand up. You don't have to stifle your emotions when you're outside of your friend group or your family or outside of your home for fear of somebody saying that they are fearful of you, that you made them uncomfortable. Because the moment that happens, you may not make it back home. You don't have to sit down and teach your children how to interact with white people, how to interact with the police, what to say and not to say in public, because it may mean your family is torn apart or your family is eliminated. You don't have to go into certain situations and downplay yourself just to keep a job or just to keep a contract. Because if you are looked at as the uppity Negro, you are now a threat. So just for a couple days, while you're sitting here, thoughts and prayers, but no action. Stop looking to us to fight your battles. This is why we said we're taking off our capes and protecting our sanity and our mental health and invoking our self-care and our boundaries when it came to abortion. Because we've been telling you this was on the horizon, because this is not new. This is what they've been doing to us since they brought us here. Since they paid missionaries to go kidnap us and then whitewashed the history and told y'all that we were selling each other to each other. I wish there was a day that I didn't have to think about race. That I wish there was a day that I didn't have to think about, what if I do this? What if I step here? What if I step there? Am I going to make it home? I wish that only a few days, every so often, this vexed my soul. But y'all don't want to hear it. You want everything to be fixed with no energy, no effort from you. We didn't create the system. We didn't break the system. We didn't brainwash the people. And we're not pushing bullshit propaganda for the sake of a few people to feel like they are superior when they are the genetic mutations of the universe. When you have to flip maps upside down, take noses off of pyramids, when you have to grind up and eat the bones of a people's ancestry because you think that that greatness is just going to meld into you. When you are confused, when you take away the education that you put forth, and you can't understand why these people are still going forward, because we've been teaching you from the beginning. And you know that we have. That's why in times of crisis, you lean on us to get you through. But let's go to the next video.
Small reminder for those in the back that can't seem to hear with all the ammo in their ears. Pause to read. And again, pause. Pause to read. Cops aren't there to protect and serve. Cops are there to do damage control. Cops are there to cover their until the coast is clear and they're able to take the person in, or if they have a clear and precise shot. They don't risk their own lives for the lives of others, for the lives of others' children. They tried to go in themselves, the parents did, because the cops would not.
And I want you to think about something, because for years people have said that I was cruel and insensitive for saying this. Why do you think cops get special medals and little award ceremonies when they actually run into the line of fire to save someone? If they really took an oath to protect and serve and to put their lives on the line for the rest of us, why would they need a special ceremony when they actually do it? Because if you go and apply for a job, they tell you the requirements of the job, you agree to it, they hire you, and you fulfill that. At the end of the week, do they give you cake and ice cream and a special plaque? And do you get a story on the news? Does a local newspaper come out to interview you? But the police have such a PR team behind them. This is what happens when you call for reform.
Congress, okay?
And that's why I don't fucking trust you. I don't care if we're both USMC veterans. Someone thinking that the U.S. government could ever fix anything is asinine. Someone thinking more laws could fix anything is asinine. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Prohibition in any form is always going to lead to more of what you don't want. When it comes down to it, what you have proposed is extremely authoritarian and is going to end in war. And having deployed, that's something I would like to avoid. I said it just a couple videos ago, I don't trust anyone that would propose legislation to keep our kids safe.
Hi,
I'm glad that you said that you're a Marine Corps veteran because I wanted to bring this point up. How many times a year do you have to go as a Marine to re-qualify and prove that you are competent and proficient in the weapons that you have been issued? I'll answer that for you as a former rifle pistol coach in the Marine Corps. You have to go annually. And how long does that take? 2 weeks, right? You have a week of grass week and then a week of live fire. Isn't that right? So in the Marine Corps, you have to go for 2 weeks out of your life and prove to the Marine Corps that you are still proficient in the weapons that have been issued to you. Now let's take it a step further. Let's say you're a private through a sergeant that's living in the barracks in the Marine Corps. Are you allowed to store a firearm in your barracks room? The answer is no, you are not. If you privately own a weapon, you have to go and register that weapon with the Provost Marshal's office, and then they issue a receipt to you saying where your weapon will be stored and kept safe for you. Why is it that the United States Marine Corps, the finest fighting force on the planet, is more restrictive in who and where firearms can be stored and possessed than the average 18-year-old in the state of Texas? Why? You see, your plan is to just do nothing and ignore the problem and continue to pray and hope that it goes away. Well, guess what, Erica? That's not fucking working. Okay? That is not fucking working. Let's look at the Second Amendment for a second, all right? The Second Amendment says a well-regulated militia. If you believe that the Second Amendment applies to all citizens and all citizens are supposed to be that militia, what do you think well-regulated means? It doesn't mean no regulations. Jesus Christ, why is this so fucking hard to understand? Doing nothing makes it easier for children to get slaughtered in their schools. Fuck all the way off.
Like you lost another one.
City of Compton is taking legal action against the LA County Sheriff's Department, alleging fraud that cost the city millions of dollars.
That's not the real story. So Aja Brown is the first black mayor of Compton, and for the last 3 years, she's been trying to dismantle the gang that's been operating within the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. Oh, you didn't know LASD was mostly made up of gangs? Yeah, actually there's a large white supremacist group there, and every time they kill someone, they bend a star on their badge. In fact, that's how they get initiated into the gang, by killing someone. Long story short, the only way you can effectively combat this type of corruption is to hit them in their pocketbooks, because it's really just a large overtime racketeer. That's how every cop makes over 6 figures, even if their base salary is $60K. You're probably asking yourself, how come we don't know about any of this negative information about bad police officers? I mean, this guy was arrested 2 weeks ago, we're just not finding out about him. So journalists in LA are now discovering that there's an entire propaganda department dedicated to making cops look good. The team is literally an army of social media specialists, program directors, and literal psychologists. The team is 67 deep, and the director of propaganda makes over $289,000 a year. But don't stress, your tax dollars don't just go to pay cop overtime or to make the cops look good when they mess up. They also create these fluff pieces. Check out this one where it's like, oh, celebrate May 4th with the LASD. Man, look at that production quality right there. Check that out. All jokes aside, we're the actual idiots. Think about it. Every time a police officer shoots an unarmed person of color or does something really bad, how come all the news stories has the full criminal history of the victim? Or it's brushed under the rug when it comes to child SA. We keep thinking, oh yeah, the news media is racist and stuff like that. No, they're not. What's really going on is the cops are bribing the news anchors. I don't know about you, but it took me this long to put two and two together. It finally clicked. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm not getting paid to do this ish. And I mean, Kess videos are only going to go so far, but if you got $100 million to spend every year on PR, yeah, you're going to make this video look like you guys are the good guys, even if there's only 20 pro-choice protesters.
Now do you kind of see why I do what I do? Now do you see why I'm on multiple days of the week? Why I also have an audio podcast? Why I have a blog? I may be one person, but it takes one pebble to come loose from a dam for it to fall down. Because that forward motion, baby, other pebbles, other rocks, other stones will come too. And before I go any further, with a sad heart, I hate to bring this, if you did not know already, coming from people.com, Ray Liotta, Goodfellas actor and Emmy winner, dead at 67. Ray Liotta has died. The Emmy Award winner was 67. The Goodfellas actor died in his sleep in the Dominican Republic, People confirms. He was engaged to his fiancée, JC, and he was dad to daughter Carson, 23, with ex-wife Michelle Grace. A source tells People no foul play is suspected in his death and that JC was with him when he passed. Deadline was first to report the news. Liotta spoke to People in November about how his personality differed from the tough guy roles he played in TV and film. I have never been in a fight at all, except for during sports, and that's just pushing and goofy kid stuff, he said at the time. He added of his career, it's weird how this business works because I've definitely had a career that's up and down. For some reason, I've been busier this year than I have in all the years that I've been doing this, and I still feel I'm not there yet. I just think there's a lot more. The star recently appeared in the Sopranos prequel movie, The Many Saints of Newark, and the Amazon Prime series Hannah, and he is currently filming the movie Dangerous Waters. That's the movie that he was filming in the Dominican Republic. Liotta revealed his engagement to JC, a mom of four, on Christmas in 2020, writing on Instagram, "Christmas wishes do come true. I asked the love of my life to marry me, and thank God she said yes." He also opened up to People about not taking family for granted. Raised in New Jersey, the star was adopted from an orphanage as a baby by his father, Alfred, an auto parts store owner, and mom, Mary. At first, I didn't understand how a parent could give up a child, he said. So I had that kind of energy of just being like, that's effed up. And then when I finally met my birth mom in my 40s, by then, I wasn't as angry about it. It's just another journey. Added Liotta, after years you grow up. And you just see the pattern of things. I've definitely developed more patience. Now I'm grateful for my health and being born, for my parents that adopted me. I mean, It could have gone a lot of different ways. My sincere condolences to his family. My heart goes out to his daughter Carson, his future stepchildren, and especially JC. Because I cannot imagine going to sleep with the love of your life and for you to wake up and they not wake up. Wait a minute. I'm gonna have to go out of order for. I'm gonna have to go out of order for just a little bit here, because let's go into this debacle that is Amber Heard's testimony from today, and a little humor from the creator of Phineas and Ferb and the voice of Dr. Doofenshmirtz. You'll understand when we get to that video.
You covered up, we could then tell. If you
I didn't cover it up, Your Honor.
Could we unredact
Your
the
Honor.
form so we could get context?
That's how it's in evidence. That's how it's in evidence.
Next question. Well, the metadata next to it is so that
Ms. Heard,
to avoid this
Ms.
sort of
Heard,
confusion.
there is no question pending, and I would appreciate it if you wouldn't be making argument to the jury.
Sorry, I
It's
thought you had
inappropriate.
asked me about it.
No, I didn't ask you about anything. Let's look at your direct testimony from the third day.
Camille is getting Julie Ackerd down.
Into evidence?
I would object it's cumulative, Your Honor. Actually, no. No objection, Your Honor.
No objection. All right, it's in evidence then.
Look, 1308 is in evidence. Mr. Gibson, can you blow up the time, date, and file name? Sir, you just agreed with me that those two photos are different photos, correct?
I agree that they were visually different, yes.
Right. So they are two visually different photos that were created at the exact same hour, the exact same minute, the exact same second as each other, correct?
And that's what the daytime metadata shows, yes.
And the metadata shows something else too. They have the exact same file name, don't they, sir?
Yes, but that's not embedded metadata.
Right. How would you have this jury decide which one is real?
I think you would need to look at the software metadata field, which I haven't looked at. I don't recall if I looked at for this particular field, but I think that's what even Mr. Neumeister said, that you need to look at the software metadata field.
But we have two photographs entered into evidence in this court that have the same identifying information, but in your view, look visually different, correct?
I don't agree that they have the same identifying information. I don't see a software metadata field here.
The identifying information includes the hour, minute, and second they were taken, this picture were taken.
I see that.
No further questions.
All right, and just for the record, since we already have 712 and 713 in evidence.
On the third day of your direct testimony, you testified that this photograph reflected spilled wine in Penthouse 5 on May 21st, 2016, didn't you?
Again, I don't know because I'm looking at a partial picture of a floor. So unless you remove the metadata you've covered up, we could then tell. If you
I didn't cover it up, Your Honor.
Could we unredact
Your Honor
them so we could get context? That's how it's in evidence.
That's how it's in evidence.
Next question. Well, the metadata next to it is so that
Ms. Heard,
to avoid this
Ms.
sort of
Heard,
confusion.
there is no question pending, and I would appreciate it if you wouldn't be making argument to the jury.
Sorry, I thought you had asked.
I cannot even tell you how many people have asked me to do this, because apparently this guy from the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial reminds a lot of people of this guy. So here you go.
I'm an expert witness. I'm saying as an expert witness.
Let's start with the easy question then.
That was pretty easy. Go ahead.
Doctor, you're going to have to just answer the questions.
Okay, sorry about that. Having trouble getting into this side.
You need to just answer the question.
Okay. I'm not sure why we're arguing psychiatry, because I'm telling you what it is.
Dr. Siegel, you just need to answer the question.
Okay.
Mr. Depp fell asleep with ice cream in his hand. That's not vomitous, right?
I was told it was vomitous.
Okay.
It does fit just a little too well, doesn't it?
Before I go into my notes for the day, he did not change the wording from the trial. He just put the Doofenshmirtz voice over it. Oh my God. Whew, okay. Oh my God. Oh, I gotta stop. I'm gonna need my inhaler in a minute. Lord. So, today's notes, I remembered to write them down today. Yesterday, not so much. I was so caught up in the back and forth. It was like watching Serena and Venus battle each other out in tennis. But Amber Heard claims that she is easily triggered now. She was trying so hard to cry on the stand. She claims that Depp promised that if she left him, she would pay. But none of her body language or actions since then said that. The two side-by-side pictures that I showed you were from the day that she went and filed the temporary restraining order against him. And then they brought up in court that there was a picture taken the next day. She had no bruising, no nothing on her face. She's like, well, I don't know. Maybe I had makeup on. Girl, you was easy, breezy, beautiful, no cover girl. She claims that Depp has enlisted millions of people to torture her. Because, you know, very few people on social media or in real life are coming to her defense. There was one woman in a 1982 wannabe cheerleader sweater that was like, if I was being attacked and called a liar, I would want someone to support me, so that's why I'm here. And yes, she was... She referenced being mocked for her last time on the stand. Ma'am, if you are so traumatized, why are you checking social media? Like, we know that you are, because every time we say something about your appearance, you change your appearance accordingly the next day in court. We know you're easily manipulated because you're a freaking narcissist and you need to be in control of everything. And the way your sister Whitney was looking in court today, that woman is traumatized. I can't even imagine what you are doing to her, Amber, behind closed doors, and what you threatened to do to her, what you did to her to get her to come up in that court and perjure herself. I have a pretty good idea what you did to the men that got up there and lied for you. But she also states that she feels humiliated by the trial and the details of the trial coming out. But then she contradicted herself and said that Johnny was stifling her voice and she wants her voice back, and she should have been able to write that op-ed because that's her truth. But if you said you gave all the details in that op-ed for the Washington Post and in talking to the ACLU, how could you be embarrassed now? You already put the information out there. Because I've publicly talked about when I was in a domestic abuse situation. I talked about how I have this here permanently. Ain't no shame in my game. If old boy was to break the restraining order that I have against him and we had to go to court, I would not be humiliated. I would not be ashamed because I've already put it out there. And I know I work in IT. I am a techie for life, okay? That the internet is forever. And I even taught y'all last night. how, even if somebody tries to scrub something, how to find it. So how are you humiliated by a narrative you started? But the most honest thing she said, and she said it by accident, you know, they always do, because she was asked, is everybody else lying or are you lying? And she said, what actual victim of domestic violence wants that, in reference to publicity? Girl, we know you sold that video to TMZ. That's why they had a copyright off of a video that was only on your iPad, but okay. And she tried vehemently to deny giving the video to TMZ, but she forgot her previous testimony where she said she didn't know how to leak stuff. But then slipped up and was like, well, I was the one leaking it. Yeah, I caught that. I caught that slip up. And then Amber tried to continue to try to talk over Camille, Depp's attorney. And y'all know that Latina woman was not having it. She's like, I am sofritos today. I did not choose violence today. I chose murder. Camille channeled all of her Snoop Dogg today. All of it. She doesn't. But I don't know if you saw the show that I did that showed that her bruise kit, the theater bruise kit where you can create bruises, was on the table when she was trying to take a picture of Johnny, trying to say that he had vomited on himself, where he told her he was exhausted from a long day of filming, and she had him hold like a glass of ice cream. I don't know if other people do this, but when I make ice cream, I don't put it in a glass. So when he fell asleep and it tipped over, you couldn't tell. Like, normally you have a bowl of ice cream, an ice cream cone, you know, a waffle bowl, something like that. So she was, but I'm like, girl, ain't nothing coming from his face. Like, how do you throw up and it lands just like you passed out? You claiming he passed out and threw up, but all of it landed perfectly in his hands. Come on. She oh, wait a minute. Got one more Amber Heard update. I almost forgot about this one because I told you I was going out of order. I know we all needed a little break from what was going on. Wait a minute. Where is this? Oh, from Getty News. Amber Heard testified that she donated $250,000 to a children's art program. The charity CEO said the money came from Elon Musk. She also had Elon donate money to Elysium, which is the company that her sister used to work for, and that donation came after the steps incident where she brought up Kate Moss, and Kate Moss came in and shut that down. When her sister left and fled to her then boss's house, the CEO and founder of Elysium, stating that it was Amber Heard that was, you know, doing all this stuff, that, you know, Amber and her father had been abusing Whitney, the younger sister, like for years, and that Amber was the aggressor and all these different things. So it seems like Amber beat Elon into submission. Oh my goodness. The doctor regarding the medication. Amber's rebuttal witnesses scream. She found them on the street, gave them a check, and gave them a script, and was like, and action. Because, like, I had to take a break. And I'm working through the day and have the TV going. Those of y'all that know me know that in my living room, there's a 70-inch TV up in here. So it ain't no avoiding it. I can see it all the way back to the kitchen. I had to take a little bit of a break and watch Law and Order Criminal Intent and Criminal Minds to stop being frustrated. But there is another trial that I haven't been able to follow because I don't know where it's being broadcasted at. It has not been mentioned on court TV, or at least the court TV I get where I'm at. I even checked online. But Miss Buffy, the financial guru. My favorite from Married to Medicine. She came through with the update. She came through with the came through. So I'm going to let y'all listen to her. We're going to be back.
It's too much going on right now. But it ain't too much for me to cover this time. Chrisley trial. Chrisley's trial. Chrisley's trial. Chrisley's trial. Okay, first of all, their ex-business partner, I think his name is Mark, is spilling all the tea. Bruh said he defrauded banks willingly on behalf of the Chrisleys because he was having an intimate affair with Todd, allegedly. Additionally, he said that the family needed $500,000 to $600,000 a month to live. Who are they, Liberace? Y'all needed to crawl, honey, and quit all this damn balling. American Express is like, I'm tired of this mess. So apparently they got $60 million in loans to live this extravagant lifestyle, and they would get another loan to pay off the old loan because they weren't really making no money like that to pay this stuff, allegedly. And it caught up with them, so they filed for bankruptcy a few years ago, were granted $20 million in forgiveness, but now these other banks that they defrauded $30 million is like, we want our coins. So stay tuned because I'm covering this. Crawl before you walk.
Now for years, Okay, I have been torn between two different theories regarding Mr. Todd, okay? Now, some people are like, oh, he's just metrosexual. I lived through the metrosexual age. No, that man is a fence swinger. If you do not know what a fence swinger is, think about what I'm saying. Use your smarter particles, as London Tipton would say, okay? But then, his relationship with his second oldest daughter, Savannah, was like, you're kind of giving off grooming vibes. Like, you real attached to her. You got too many specific rules regarding her. I understand that there are parents out there that have a favorite child. I don't have a favorite child. I love everybody equally. Everybody has an equal part in my heart. Everybody gonna be taken care of equally, and I'll fight you over all of my babies, every last one of them, whether I gave birth to them or not. Don't ask me no questions about complexion differences. You'll catch these hands completely equally, and if you catch me on the wrong day, you might catch a bumper. Just saying. But when he moved from wife number one to wife number two, and wife number two is who y'all know from the show. And when he cut off his son and took custody of his granddaughter, I'm like, this is screaming. Eventually, he's going to have the argument, I can't be raised and have a black grandbaby that I raised and lost. And the fact that he's more vain than his wife, I'm like, who really impregnated her for these kids? Because he has to like hanging out at Oscar Mayer cons or something. And y'all know my queer ass don't have a problem with it. I'm just like, just be true to yourself. Don't be lying to us. And then when he was, making guest appearances on the Steve Harvey show, trying to give women dating advice, like, baby, you are trying too hard to push forward your misogyny to prove that you are real man. No, because it's obvious you didn't follow these rules and these steps to get your wife. And then your wife want to put out a cookbook and claim that she's such a good cook, but why y'all paying for a chef and drivers and new car? Like, I understand Savannah can't drive and keep wrecking cars. So that means you dogged out your son, your second to youngest son, when he wanted to move out on his own and basically told him he had to make it or fake it. That lets me know you were paying the bills for Savannah. You were paying the bills at your mama's house. And evidently you was also paying your alleged boyfriend's bills. Because the math ain't mathing unless that's what you was doing. Now look, baby, I done been a beard before. And Mrs. Chrisley, you giving me shea butter moisturized beard. Oh, wait a minute. smoke because I adopted you. Who want the smoke? I mean, I just did these nails today, but they can be redone. Who want the smoke? They better not play. They best to not play. Oh, okay. Long as you got them together. Just tell them. My mama believe in laying hands. She is benevolent to her children, not the general public. Let's not get it twisted. That's not what we about to do. Oh yeah, she definitely don't want this smoke, cause I got a backpack of hands. Okay, Jesus, this has been a jam-packed week. So, to not keep everybody up all night long, I will cover the rest of this tomorrow. I promise. I will do my best not to add anything else to the roster unless it's uber important. And one thing that I did want to let you all know, I did cross the 1,000 threshold mark on TikTok. So I can now go live. Not quite sure when I want to start going live, what I want to talk about over there now. But if you have any suggestions, hit me up. There's an email linked here. You can DM me on TikTok. You can DM me on Instagram. If you're on Facebook and you happen to find me, because I have everything linked, inbox me over there too. Let me know if there's something you want to hear about. Or if on TikTok you just want me to get in the kitchen and show you my recipes. I don't care. Or we just watch movies together. So yes, we do need to go live together again. I gotta figure out a time. I gotta get my life together. Okay? Kind of, yeah. Like if I was to turn this camera around, like everything is very organized and neat and folded up and on hangers and ready to be put away. But before we call it a night, I do want to play this one last video for y'all, because this is the epitome of the trash taking the trash out. Take a peek, and as always, each one teach one, each one reach one. I'll see y'all tomorrow.
Good afternoon, and what the fuck? How did I know it was a crusty-ass white dude? Dr. Stephen Leonard of Massachusetts, everybody. Let's give him a round of applause. He's just out here outing himself for the world to see. So let me tell everybody what's going on. This guy is mad because in Massachusetts, in order for him to renew his medical license, they are going to make him take a critical race theory class. And apparently that's just not okay. Like, he is big mad enough that he is not going to renew his medical license. Because according to him, implicit bias does not exist. And he says that he attended Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech and was very inspired by it. So that means he's never had any biases. Let me give you a little clue here, buddy. If Fox News is the only one that's going to air your opinion piece, you definitely need to take a second look at that opinion. And when people of color are dying at higher rates in hospitals across the country, and researchers start looking into this and they're like, hey man, why is this happening? And people of color are expressing their experience and saying, hey, we are definitely experiencing discrimination. The least you can fucking do is take a class about their experiences. But no, you're out here being like, how dare you imply that I have biases that I need to address? And in the same breath, where you're just totally invalidating people of color and their lived experience, in the same breath, you're saying, I've never had a bias. I mean, we are blessed that this guy is not renewing his medical license. Definitely a good thing. Way to weed him out, Massachusetts. Good job.